And we are now called to order for the Tuesday, June 23rd, Monroe County Council work session. Welcome, everybody. We will get started with our department updates, which is our first item on the agenda. And do we have any departments present who would like to provide an update? And these will be 5-minute maximum updates, please. As Ms. Caudle, did you have an update to provide?
I do.
Thank you.
Thanks. Just quick, my update for tonight is that the Monroe County Co-Ed has the Wear Your Face Covering campaign, the Wear It B-Town and Wear It MoCo. And this week launched the government challenge. So I would challenge all of our government and council officials to post a picture on your favorite social media site with the hashtag Wear It B-Town and the hashtag Wear It MoCo to remind people and encourage people to do the right thing and wear their face covering when they're in public and can't maintain that social distance of 6 feet. And that's it.
All right, thank you very much. I think I've already seen a few of my colleagues who've done just that on social media. And yes, thanks for the words of encouragement there. We should all be heeding that advice for sure. Thank you. And I see Commissioner Thomas is here. Do you have an update for us?
Yes, really quick. I just wanted to give you all an update on the food and beverage grants to businesses outside the city of Bloomington in Monroe County that are involved in the tourist industry. We've been issuing these grants for the last several weeks. The total right now, 28 businesses have received a total of $270,242. And we're really proud and happy to partner with the council to make this happen, to keep our economy going. So thank you all for that.
Thank you. Are there any, and we'll be hearing from the commissioners here very shortly again, are there any further department updates for council at this time? I don't see any, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. Okay, so we will we'll now move on to our next item, Commissioner's office.
Great. I will start out, but Margie is going to carry most of this, I think. We have spoken with and worked with the township trustees over the last several weeks, where we're very concerned about what may come in terms of a large number of requests for assistance from our county residents in all the townships.
Excuse me. I think we need to make a motion first so that we can talk about this.
Okay, sorry.
Right.
Make a quick motion then. Council, I move to approve the interlocal cooperation agreement between Monroe County and township governments to deliver relief from immediate and longer-term COVID-19 economic impacts.
Second.
Thank you for letting me interrupt, Julie.
Thank you. No problem at all. It felt a little strange to be talking about. I wasn't sure why, so thank you for that. So in working, Margie has done a lot of work with the township trustees to come up with this agreement, and we're really happy to be part of this and really would appreciate your support.
Thank you. And is there any, Ms. Rice, did you have any additional context to add?
I would just like to point out a couple of things about the interlocal agreement. We referenced their statutory authority as well as the county's statutory authority. They do have a trustee association, which will be the entity receiving the funds. I talked with the leadership from the trustee association, and they felt as if the best way to do this would be to take the $100,000 that the county council had already additionally appropriated, take those funds and provide them in $25,000 increments to the trustee association. And then they will form a 3-panel committee, like a COVID committee, that will look at the needs of the townships as they come in. So the residents within those townships, as these needs come in for COVID related items, they will vet the requests with their 3-panel committee and then distribute the funds accordingly. If they go through the first 25,000, they could ask for another 25,000, and they can do that 4 times, so up to a total of $100,000. We will pay the township trustee association according to a claim, and the interlocal provides that the first $25,000 would be paid before the end of June. And then this agreement wraps up December 31st unless there is a continuation, and that has to be executed in the same way as this agreement is. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I think we may have some township trustees here at the meeting tonight. They might want to talk about it as well.
Yeah, and it looks like we may be having some, we have some folks who would like to be in the actual Zoom room who aren't able to be on camera right now, and I'm not sure who all we have and who's not. We have 15 panelists, but well,
Could you
maybe
just tell me the names from the attendee list? I can promote them.
Yeah,
Kim
I'm not
Alexander has her hand
sure
raised.
if we do have any township officials here or not.
You do. Kim Alexander and Dan Combs. I see Michelle Bright also.
Okay.
In the attendees tab.
Ah, yes.
Kim, Dan, and what was the last name?
Dan Combs, Kim Alexander, and Michelle Bright.
Michelle Bright.
And then I know Beth Hamlin is also waiting to enter as well too from the prosecutor's office for a future agenda item on the coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, Eric,
Yes.
it's Kim Alexander.
Hi, Kim.
And I don't really, I'm sorry, I was gonna try, I don't know how to raise my hand. I saw it on the other screen, but then when we switch screens, I don't really see it. But anyway, can I go ahead and speak now?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to say that on behalf of the Monroe County trustees, I wanted to thank you for your assistance in applying for this grant, especially Margie working with us to get this pulled together. And these funds will go a long way, I hope, in alleviating financial burdens caused by the coronavirus for citizens of Monroe County. And you can be assured that we will allocate them judiciously and appropriately where they are needed. And as I've said before, we don't really know what the future will bring in terms of assistance needs, but it is comforting to know that these additional funds are available. The month of May for us seemed unusually quiet, and I think for other townships as well, but we are beginning to field more calls as June winds down. So once again, I just want to thank you for your assistance, and we really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Do we have any other township officials who would like to speak? Looks like Ms. Bright is. Ms. Bright, did you want to make some comments?
Yes, sorry.
No, no problem.
This is
Welcome.
Michelle Bright, Benton Township trustee, and I just wanted to echo Kim's statements that, we really, really appreciate that. I know being a small township a few months ago, we weren't expecting anything, but boy, things are sure picking up, and some of the needs I imagine will be sizable. So thank you again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And Mr. Combs, hello.
Hi there, Dan Combs, Ferry Township.
thank you very much for this. As Kim, who is the president of the association, as she said, things are starting to pick up. And what we're seeing are some substantial outlays for people. In particular, utilities are starting to come in. And I think we'll use the money.
Thank you, sir. And I think now we'll turn to council members. Are there any questions or comments? Looks like I saw Council Member Hawk's hand first and then Mr. McKim.
Just wanted to, can you hear me? No?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to say, I believe Rita Burrows also here to speak, Van Buren
Oh.
Township. I mean, I thought you'd want to take all those comments first before.
Yes, if Ms. Barrow's here, we would, yes. Hello, Trustee Barrow.
I see somebody by the name of Rita. I'm assuming it's Rita.
Yeah, that has to be our friend from Van Buren Township.
It does not appear to have their mic enabled, so it's possible they're not able to talk right now.
Okay. Well, we'll if we're able to get that arranged, we'd be glad to hear from Van Buren Township. In the meantime, we'll go back to council. Go ahead, Ms. Hawk.
Yes, I've spoken with several of the township trustees, and they are expecting to see more and more people in need of assistance. But I think the other thing that the good news was that the state has allowed over $4 million for Monroe County government, and Representative Heaton reminded us that the townships then would appropriately go to the county for assistance. So I would think that we keep proper records and so forth, that most of these things would be able to be reimbursed. And so that would be an appropriate use of these dollars. So I think it's wonderful that we were already several steps ahead and ready to go with this. And thank you to the trustees for making sure they were prepared as well.
Thank you. Mr. McKim?
Yes, it sounds like nationally, at least up to a fifth of all rent payments were missed. And I'm curious if any of the trustees have any idea what the numbers are locally with respect to missed rent payments. I know you might not necessarily be, immediately in the know on that topic, but I'm wondering if you're hearing from either tenants or landlords on the issue.
This is Kim Alexander. No, I haven't really. It seems like that clients, they're not coming to us if they're paying their rent, or else they're not paying it and they're not coming to us. So I haven't really been able to get a very good feeling for that. And I haven't done a rent survey, talked to any landlords yet about that. So we've had a few cases for rent, but I don't think anything like we'll see in the future. So I don't really have a very good handle on it, though.
If I may.
Sure.
Dan Holmes here. We ran a survey for all of our major affordable housing complexes and low-income Section 8 complexes. And that was about 3 weeks ago. We got the response that none of them had a lot of clients in arrears to the point they would need assistance to stay out of eviction court. But we've been open paying rent through the whole thing, through the closure, and by far our biggest expense in that closure period has been rent. So we've made an effort to get people as they get behind. In the low income Section 8 housing, the number of people facing eviction was 0, but that kind of makes sense because those are households that make very low amounts of income, and the stimulus money would have carried them multiple months through their rent. It's the affordable housing complexes that we've been giving assistance to residents within. So do we have an exact count? No, but we are expecting the affordable housing complexes to come through with substantial requests. We hope we've kept them from going into arrears, but we just won't know.
It's interesting. Thank you.
And I believe Mr. Iverson.
Yeah, I have a question about the disbursement process, and I think it'd be interesting to hear either Ms. Alexander or our legal team talk about the process in case folks aren't actually looking at the interlocal agreement at this moment. There's a 3-member panel, as I understand it.
Yeah, this is Kim Alexander. Yeah, we have a 3-member panel made up of myself, Dan Combs, and Barb Uli, who's the Washington Township trustee. And we will meet as a team once a month and receive documentation from the different townships. If a township has a need, they'll send us documentation in the form of a copy of the purchase order, as well as maybe a statement or a note or just a memo stating how much in addition to their regular guidelines that they're spending. And then Barb she's the secretary treasurer of the Trustees Association. She will write them a check then. So it's pretty straightforward. And then any documentation, we'll save all this documentation. I'm assuming that the council commissioners will need that for reimbursement at a later date, or not, I don't know. But you can be sure and ask us for that. Looks like Margie has something to say.
I was going to say, we did write into that a reporting requirement. So we will get those documents from the township. And I think we wrote into the agreement that once a month at a public meeting, somebody from the townships will come and talk about how that month has been for them. So I think that will serve 2 purposes. Will be a way for us to have that dialogue with the township to sort of know how the funds are being distributed. It also will serve as a way, since these meetings are in public, a way for the public to know that there's an opportunity for assistance out there. Mm-hmm. So it was a dual purpose to put that reporting requirement.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Alexander and Rice.
I saw Mr. Deckard and then Ms. Munson.
Thank you very much. Mike, I have 2 questions, and I suspect some of them may seem pretty obvious to the folks that are in attendance today, but for those watching and maybe confused the difference between county and township, Congress, et cetera, this might help to alleviate them, particularly in the pandemic. But the first question being, the Township Association that will conduct this, and we appreciate you so much doing this, this will cover every township as a participatory, and I'm assuming at this point in the county's housing evolution, we've got people renting in some form in every township. And then in the second part of that question, if there were, I know that you have an appeal process for applicants for other forms of assistance. Is there an appeal process for this? And maybe quickly, how does that roughly work, if there is? Thank you.
This is Kim Alexander. The first question is, yes, it does cover all of the townships. All the trustees have agreed to this, and we're in on the planning. So it does cover all of the townships. And secondly, as far as the appeal goes, I think it would just revert back to each township individually. And Dan can step in here and if he has anything to say, but I think the appeal process would lay with each township so that there wouldn't be an appeal process for the association. Does that make sense?
It does to me. I'm just curious if that is even part of the process. And I know that there's different things that take things to the commissioners and et cetera. So I appreciate that. And I can certainly follow up offline.
I think it would just be the same. My idea is that would be the same as just business as usual.
Yes, that's correct. We did not write into this a separate appeal process and assumed that the way that those who are aggrieved by a decision of the township trustees could appeal as the statute allows them to appeal up through the commissioners.
Thank you very much. And thank you for handling this.
My pleasure.
We'll go to Councilmember Munson next, and I did see that Trustee Barrow, I believe, has joined, and we can check with her here in just a few minutes to see if she has anything that she'd like to say as well too. But please, Ms. Munson. Your microphone is muted.
Thank you. I think for the public that is listening to this, it's important for them to know that there are three conditions that must be met. And this is not a simple giveaway. First of all, the township must have exhausted all of its available assistance dollars. Second, the requesting township determines whether it's a COVID-19 related need and that they wish to provide assistance. And thirdly, the township identifies that this is not an eligible need per the township's guidelines. And those are written out in the resolution. But there are strict requirements for the townships. And I want to thank the county commissioners and the township trustees for working out such a great agreement.
Thank you. Ms. Barrow, did you have any comments that you wanted to make for the council?
Not at this time. I think pretty much Dan and Kim has covered it all. We are not seeing the abundance. It's beginning to be more normal, but there are a lot of individuals out there. We have contacted the utility company and asked, how many are in the disconnect, and tried to get some kind of data as to where we can kind of plan for this. And what we had to do was go back and get past individuals with the account numbers and go to their sections, and they looked it up and said, yes or no. But I believe that once this is all done, I really see that we are going to have an abundance. And I appreciate the commissioners doing this and the council looking at it and saying yeah or yes or no. But we are really, really happy that you guys are helping us if we have the need. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any further council comments or questions? Okay. Well, I'm really excited to support this. I think this is, as several others have already mentioned, I think the plan is very well thought out. Very thankful to our commissioners, to our township trustees, to county legal for all the work that has been put into this to make it to where we are today. And I think this is this is just a great example of government working together and collaborating together to do really positive things for their constituents and for the community. And right now, maybe a lot of people don't always see different elected officials and elected bodies working well together all the time. But this is something that I think is really special here in Monroe County that we see very frequently. And so I'm just very grateful for that and happy to support this tonight. Is there any public comment on this item before we take a vote? And I do not see any public comment. So Ms. Shell, we will have a roll call vote, please, if everyone can unmute their microphones for voting.
You're ready.
On the motion to approve the interlocal cooperation agreement between Monroe County and township governments. Spoonmore,
Yes.
Hawk, Hawk,
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Wilf,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Munson,
Yes.
Deckard,
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Okay, thank you. And we have another item here from the Commissioner's Office.
Council, I move to approve Resolution 2020-33, acknowledging and approving the Board of Commissioners policy amendment regarding distribution of food and beverage tax dollars previously appropriated by the Monroe County Council. The resolution reads as follows. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the Monroe County Council hereby approves the Commissioner's amended policy and the use of previously appropriated food and beverage tax dollars for the provision of grants to restaurants and tourism-related entities whose offices are inside the boundaries of the city of Bloomington, but who serve or promote the entirety of Monroe County.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I will now allow Ms. Thomas and Ms. Rice to provide some additional information on this. Welcome again.
And thank you. Thank you all for considering this. I will let Ms. Rice do most of the talking here because she drew up this document for us, but we did have this, this item was heard at the Food and Beverage Tax Advisory Commission meeting this month and was approved. We do have a grant request on our agenda tomorrow morning. So this is just really crossing T's, dotting I's, and making sure that all of us are on board. So the commissioners already passed this, the Food and Beverage Tax Advisory Commission, and now we're just making sure that the council is happy with this arrangement. So thank you.
Thank you.
I will piggyback on that and say that the whereas clauses in this resolution, which did not need to be read into the minutes, but will be incorporated in your minutes because the resolution will be in there. Those whereas clauses do point out that the commissioners amended their policy, and then they went to the Food and Beverage Tax Advisory Commission and asked for their blessing on spending food and beverage tax dollars in this new way, which is to allow grants to businesses that happen to be headquartered in the city of Bloomington, but who serve the entire county and promote the entire county. And so once the Food and Beverage Tax Advisory Commission approved that, my colleagues in county legal and I decided it would be wise to bring this to you, so that you bless that as well, because when you originally appropriated these funds, it was with the understanding that the funds would be spent for those businesses outside city limits. So just to be safe and just to make sure that you guys are okay with this being spent this way, we are bringing this simple resolution to you and asking for your approval. So if you approve it tonight, you will be saying that organizations like the History Center that happen to be located in the city of Bloomington, but who serve the entire county and promote the entirety of Monroe County can receive grants from Monroe County.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now turn to council for questions and comments. I saw Ms. Hawk's hand first and then Mr. McKim.
I just wanted to add, and this was something I wanted to say at the commissioners meeting, but for some reason I couldn't get my hand up at the commissioners meeting. I thoroughly agree that the History Center is very worthy of these dollars. And one of the reasons why I believe that's the case is because their annual sale every year brings in a lot of people from other counties. This is not just a local sale. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that come to that sale. It is one that is recognized throughout the United States, really, where people will come in for that specialty sale, the fundraiser for the History Center. But it's like a trade show, really. It's just very close to being a trade show. And remember that our tourism dollars is allowed to be used for trade shows. So I think this is a very appropriate use of the dollars. And so I'm happy to support the History Center with this.
Thank you. Mr. McKim?
Yeah,
Ms. Munson will be next.
I also completely support this modification in the guidelines. It's great. So I just wanted Ms. Rice to just make it clear, because I know this issue has come up a couple of times, that this has been reported in a way that the county is now allowing city businesses to apply for grant funding, which of course isn't completely true. So obviously a restaurant could say, any restaurant in the city could say, hey, we serve people throughout the county, but and they do. But I just want to make it really clear, Ms. Rice, you may want to clarify that's not the type of business that this change is intended to provide grant funding for.
No, you're absolutely right. So a restaurant that is located within the boundaries of the city of Bloomington would not be eligible even under these amended guidelines. These are for businesses that truly promote tourism throughout Monroe County and serve the entirety of Monroe County. So a business that is simply located inside the city of Bloomington and is not going to qualify. So yes, but thank you for that question so that we could clarify that.
Thanks.
Councilmember Munson.
Yes, two important things. The first is I recuse myself from the vote at the Food and Beverage Tax Advisory Commission because I serve on the board of the Monroe County History Center. So I will recuse myself again this evening. The second point is the wonderful garage sale. That is a major fundraiser for the History Center. Because of COVID-19, plans are on hold for that. We don't exactly know what will go on, but there is a mini sale that I hope is a big sale on July 4th at the History Center proper of bicycles. And this is, these are the refurbished bicycles that have been donated for History Center fundraising. And please note that location if you are interested in a new bicycle. That's all.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions from county council members? Seeing none, are there any public comment on this item? I see no public comment. So we will go ahead and do a roll call vote on the resolution.
On the motion to approve Resolution 2020-33, acknowledging and approving the Commissioner's policy amendment. Councilor Wiltz?
Yes.
Councilor Iverson?
Yes.
Councilor Spoonmore?
Yes.
Councilor Munson?
I abstain.
Councilor Hawk?
Yes.
Councilor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
Motion passed majority 6-0 to 1.
All right, thank you. And now we'll move on to our Youth Services Bureau.
Council, I move to approve the Youth Services Bureau's request for the creation of new account lines in Fund 8120-9620 Runaway and Homeless Youth Grant, and to simultaneously approve the additional appropriations of $16,426 in the supplies category and $16,307 in the services category for a total appropriation of $32,733.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. I see Ms. Tevenow is here. Vicki, is there anybody else from YSB that will be speaking tonight?
No,
Okay.
I can speak. This is a grant that we got without asking because we are a runaway and homeless youth center and we stayed open during COVID and incurred additional expenses. We're using this money to pay for the personal protection equipment, for having the shelter officially or professionally sanitized. We're using it to have tablets so that our youth, we weren't for a while allowed to let them have any visitors, including their parents. So this would allow them both to do their educational. For those kids who did not have an iPad issued by the school or no one picked it up for them, there are a variety of things we were spending the money on. We were open the whole time. We're still open. And someday, hopefully, we'll be able to invite people to come to this beautiful new building and show it off, but just not yet.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from council members for Ms. Tevenow? Yes, Mr. Deckard.
Just a quick one. Your numbers, were they pretty consistent during the pandemic, or did they go up significantly, or any comparison there?
They actually went down, which was shocking in some respects, but also the criteria that we used to allow youth in the beginning, because we were all terrified and had no idea what was happening. We were only taking youth that were in imminent danger or were truly homeless and had no alternative of any kind. Since then, we have loosened up quite a bit because the Indiana Department of Health and the Department of Child Services would allow us to do that. We started with 9 youth averaging. We're only averaging about 3 right now. So we expect that to change, but that's the way it's been. We were surprised.
Interesting. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll see if there's any public comment on this item. Seeing none, we will have a roll call vote, please.
On the motion to approve new account lines and additional appropriations in Fund 8120, Counselor Munson?
Yes.
Counselor McKim?
Yes.
Counselor Deckard?
Yes.
Counselor Hawk?
Yes.
Counselor Spoonmore?
Yes.
Counselor Iverson?
Yes.
Counselor Wells?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to a big ticket item from the prosecutor's office. I see Ms. Hamlin is here.
Yes, I am.
Council, I move to approve the prosecutor's request for a category transfer in Fund 9112-9620 Adult Protective Services of $622 from the services category to the personnel category of $189 and the supplies category of $433. Did that make sense?
Second. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Welcome, Ms. Hamlin. Do you have any additional information you want to, you need to coerce us on for
No,
this
I
one?
don't think so. I come about every year just to move money around so we can spend as much of the contract dollars as we possibly can.
Very good. Any questions or comments from council? Mr. Iverson?
Yeah, I don't know, Beth, if you can handle this question, but during this COVID-19 time, there's been a lot of folks at home, and Adult Protective Services has been doing an amazing job of going out and keeping people safe. Can you talk at all about what COVID-19 has meant to APS, or is that, I don't know, are you able to talk to that?
I can tell you that they have seen an increase in reports and concerns, calls for concern. They've been going out a lot, doing a lot of home visits. They were down, they didn't do any except just emergency home visits for probably about a month, but they're back up to full steam. Yeah, they're busy.
Yeah, this is a tough time for a lot of people, and APS is one of those community services that if we didn't have, we'd be in a whole world of hurt. So this is a great area. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Any public comment on the prosecutor's request? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
On the motion to approve the category transfer from the services category to the personnel and supplies categories in Fund 9112, Councillor Hawk,
Yes.
Councillor Deckard,
Yes.
Councillor Iverson,
Yes.
Councillor Wiltz,
Yes.
Councillor McKim,
Yes.
Councillor Munson,
Yes.
Councillor Spoonmore.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to the Health Department.
Council, I move to approve the Health Department's request to create new account lines in Fund 8158-9621 immunization and to simultaneously approve the additional appropriation of $60,008 in the services category.
Second.
Hello, Ms. Call.
Good evening. Thank you. This is a routine grant. Oh, sorry. This is a routine grant that we've had for several years now. Primarily, it goes to our Miller Drive, to our public health clinic for immunizations, and really supplements the in-school immunization clinics that they do. And certainly with COVID and people being in home and not going out, there were a lot of immunizations that were missed. And we're trying to catch up on that. So this is very timely. The grant cycle is July through June. And I will just note that last year the grant came to us, and when we got the award, it was split between two CFDA numbers. We should be getting the actual grant contract soon. So it is possible it could be split again this year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from council members? Is there any public comment on the request of the Health Department? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
On the motion to approve a new account line and an additional appropriation in Fund 8158, Councillor Iverson,
Yes.
Councillor Spoonmore,
Yes.
Councillor Munson,
Yes.
Councillor Deckard,
Yes.
Councillor Wiltz,
Yes.
Councillor Hawk,
Yes.
Councillor McKim.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
All right. And our next item is with the probation department, and I believe, well, we'll go ahead and do a motion.
Council, I move to approve the Probation Department's request to create new account lines in Fund 9105-9621 Indiana Judicial Supreme Court Grant, and to simultaneously approve the additional appropriations of $3,870 in the supplies category and $6,130 in the services category for a total appropriation of $10,000.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. It looks like we have Mr. Hatfield present. Hello.
Hi, yes. Thank you. I apologize. Linda Brady sends her apologies. She's unable to make it tonight, so I'll cover these agenda items. So this first agenda item is a Indiana Supreme Court grant. We've received this grant for at least the past 15 years. It's $10,000 per year. We typically ask for similar things each year, and as you can see, the majority, or at least half of the funding, is going towards bus vouchers and graduation tokens for our drug court participants. We routinely hand out a lot of bus vouchers, monthly bus passes, to be able to, so our participants can get to court, but also their treatment sessions and things like that. It also helps fund some drug test supplies to help defray some of those costs, as well as some other incentives that we're able to offer our participants for doing well through the program. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Thank you. Mr. McKim.
Yes, so for the drug test supplies, would those otherwise have to be paid for by the participants themselves if we didn't have a grant like this to defray those expenses?
Yeah, so these supplies are typically for instant test drug testing, and that what happens is we're able to purchase these supplies, and then for the participants, they pay a greatly reduced rate for those. So we purchase the drug test cups and some of the lab tests, and the participants pay a small handling fee to help pay our staff to be able to collect those things.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments from council? Is there any public comment? We will do a roll call vote, please.
On the motion to approve new account lines and additional appropriations in Fund 9105, Councilor Wiltz?
Yes.
Councilor Munson?
Yes.
Councilor Hawk?
Yes.
Councilor Iverson?
Yes.
Councilor McKim?
Yes.
Councilor Spoonmore?
Yes.
Councilor Deckard?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Council, I move to approve the Probation Department's request to create new account lines in Fund 9132-9621 Veterans Court Grant, and to simultaneously approve the additional appropriations of $73,199 in the personnel category.
Second.
So this grant is for our Veterans Court. As many of you know, our Veterans Court was began about 5 years ago in 2016. We've received a grant to help pay, well, actually it pays 100% of the salary and benefits for one staff person for the Veterans Court to monitor the participants in that program. Like I said, we've received this grant for the past 5 years. This year will make a total of over $300,000 we've received to go towards the Veterans Court and to help out, those participants that should need to be in that program. It's 100% grant funded. There's no match money involved, and we'll continue to apply for it each year in hopes to continue on funding this position.
Great news. Thank you. Any questions or comments from council for Mr. Hatfield? Yeah, Mr. Deckard.
And I apologize. I may have asked this of Linda before, and I just can't recall the answer. And if you don't know, that's fine too. Do you know, is this a federal federal grant with state pass-through that gets to us, or is this coming directly from state?
So there's an actual appropriation in the state budget for Veterans Court programs. This money is administered by the Indiana Office of Court Services, which is under the Supreme Court. So this is granted out to courts, problem-solving courts across the state who have a Veterans Court program. This money is specifically earmarked for Veterans Courts.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this grant? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
On the motion to approve new account lines and additional appropriations in Fund 9132, Councilor Hawk,
Yes.
Councilor Wills,
Yes.
Councilor Deckard,
Yes.
Councilor Spoonmore,
Yes.
Councilor Munson,
Yes.
Councilor McKim,
Yes.
Councilor Iverson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Hatfield.
Council,
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead. Sorry.
Yep. Go ahead.
Jumping in there. Council, I move to approve the probation department's request to create new account lines in Fund 9135-9621 pretrial pilot project and to simultaneously approve the additional appropriations of $145,232 in the personnel category.
Second.
Okay, last one for us. This funding is also from the Indiana Office of Court Services. It is state funding. And we use this money to go towards our pretrial program. It funds 100% of the salary of a deputy public defender, as well as 100% of the salary and benefits of a probation officer to help with that program. We've received this grant for the past 5 years. This year will make a total of over $600,000 that we've received in grant funding for this program. No match money at all. And hopefully we'll continue on in the future obtaining this grant as well. A couple of things about our pretrial program that I wouldn't mind highlighting is over the past, we started it in 2016, in October 2016. And in those first 3 years, we assessed over 6,000 people who had been arrested and taken to jail in Monroe County. Of those that we assessed, our low-risk population appear for all their court hearings over 95% of the time and are not rearrested while their case is pending over 91% of the time. So I feel like this program is a great success, and we'd like to continue moving forward with it. So we'd appreciate your support.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yeah, Mr. McKim.
Yes, I mean, I think, I don't think that this program has been touted enough compared to how valuable it's been in terms of really promoting the fundamental value that somebody is innocent until proven guilty. And I know Monroe County has really been a leader in pretrial release. Now, at one time, I know that the Supreme Court was really kind of mandating all counties to eventually go in that direction. But then my impression was that they sort of backed off on that. Do you know where the rest of the state is on moving to pretrial release?
Well, so Criminal Rule 26, I think, is mainly what you're referring to, and that is for counties across the state to implement some type of pretrial services. That rule is fully in effect. So all counties are working towards establishing something. Now, the other thing the state has been working on, I actually sat on the statewide committee that helped develop this, and that's court rules or rules for pretrial services programs. What was created is a set of rules that each pretrial program should be following and hopefully to bring about the best outcomes. Those rules were developed so that programs can then apply for statewide certification, similar to a problem-solving court. The certification process began in January of this year. It's been delayed a little bit because of the things that are going on. But we are one of the counties that is applying for certification. I actually spoke to someone at the state yesterday, and she said that they've got over 30 applications from counties applying for certification so far. So many of the counties are moving in that direction. It'll probably take a great deal of time for everybody to kind of get into that mode and become certified. But we're one of the first ones in line. We're very eager to get our program certified. We feel like we run a very good program and we have a lot of great support from our circuit court and the criminal division judges.
That's fantastic. And do you know if they're you're planning to continue the pretrial program stakeholders meetings? I know that there was some interruption because of the pandemic, but.
Yeah, there was some interruption. I think we had one set here in May and it got delayed till June. And right now it has been postponed. But I know that Judge Dekoff is working on a date to get another one set up soon.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Councilmember Munson.
I will try and speak loud. We're having a little audio trouble here. Mr. Hatfield, once Monroe County's program is certified, does this mean that we will no longer receive funding from the pretrial pilot project?
No, on the contrary, in order to continue funding moving forward or be eligible to apply for grant funding, both through the Indiana Office of Court Services and the Department of Correction, we have to be a certified program. So we're very eager to get that certification, have the assessors come down and take a look at our program and get that taken care of, hopefully within the next few months. We'll see when they kind of set up some dates to come visit our program.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Any additional council comments or questions for Mr. Hatfield? Ms. Wilkes?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Hatfield, I'm not sure if this is something you're prepared to answer, so please, if not, that's totally fine. But on the forefront of a lot of our minds right now are racial disparities in justice and law enforcement. And I'm wondering, do you happen to know off the top of your head approximately what percentage of the people in the pretrial pilot project are people of color, and any other like racial data that you might have that could provide some insight into the conversations that we're going to be having over the next week or so?
So it's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. I don't have that data off the top of my head in terms of who has participated in our local program. I will say that we are involved in several research projects locally, not only to help validate our risk assessment instrument, but also we participated in a National Institute of Justice grant that did that exact thing, is to try to look at some of if there are any racial disparities, not only in using the pretrial assessment, but also in outcomes. Those results of that assessment, we were involved with 3 other counties, Hamilton, Hendricks, and Allen counties. The results of that research study are going to be presented to a statewide committee that I sit on actually next Tuesday. And then a statewide audience will be able to hear some of the results of that study on July 15th. They're going to be doing a webinar that I'd be happy to send to the council members. It'll be at noon on July 15th. I'll actually be one of the presenters in that webinar, just to talk a little bit about Monroe County's program and how it has evolved over the past 3 years. but I'm eager to learn a little bit more from that study. I'm eager to read the research report. I've heard a few of the preliminary findings, but that'll be available to the public here very soon, very soon.
Wow, that's exciting. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we'd love to be included on that webinar. And just send the link or whatever invite you have to the council office, and we can get that distributed out to everybody. That would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yes, I'll do that.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, or is there any public comment? Don't see any public comment. We'll do a roll call vote.
On the motion to approve new account lines and additional appropriations in Fund 9135, Councilor Hawk?
Yes.
Councilor McKim?
Yes.
Councilor Spoonmore?
Yes.
Councilor Iverson?
Yes.
Councilor Wiltz?
Yes.
Councilor Munson?
Yes.
Councilor Deckard?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. And our next item is with our aviation department.
Yes. Council, I move to approve the summary minutes. That is not right.
I don't think there's a motion on this one.
It's like,
Yeah, we're just
gonna have a discussion here.
Yeah, Carlos here from the airport. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
All righty. Hi there. For the upcoming county council meeting, the airport will be requesting the creation of a new account line and additional appropriation to facilitate our 2020 CARES Act grant, which the FAA has provided due to the corona epidemic. The funds are designed to offset a decline in revenue arising from the diminished airport operations and activities that we've seen as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The CARES Act will be a direct pay award administered as a reimbursement for expenses and debt service. Although it's not an airport improvement plan grant that we typically see, we're requesting an appropriation line be created in our 8101 Airport Improvement Plan Fund, as the funds will be administered in the same fashion. And unlike our typical AIP grants, they will be reimbursed at 100% and no matching funds will be required. So this is just something that's coming up for the next council meeting. We'll be making that request at that time, but we wanted to speak tonight if anybody had any questions or input on this motion here, upcoming motion.
Thank you, Mr. Laverty. Are there any questions or comments from council? Ms. Hawk?
I just wanted to thank the airport director for taking time to speak with me today about this. And it's always exciting to hear about what great things we're doing at that airport. And we look forward to being able to show it off to a lot more of the youth here in our county soon, because they really love going out there and seeing the planes coming and going, and all of it's a great time out there for them. So I look forward to that as well. So thank you for bringing this to us, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, my pleasure. And just on a side note as well, speaking about the youth, we're going to be, excuse me, taking on a, my water, hold on a second. Sorry about that, but we'll be taking on a high school intern this fall, and after she comes on board and we have her for a little bit, I'll bring her out to introduce her to the council.
Great. Any other questions or comments? I've got one question. When do we expect disbursement to arrive?
I believe the funds, and so Amy Garst, who's sitting in the attendee pool, she might be able to help me with this. I believe the funds have been dispersed into the DOT Delphi system for us already.
Okay.
We just have not submitted for any reimbursements as of yet.
Gotcha. Well, that's good news.
Yeah, they were pretty quick on this, and it was pretty interesting to watch it all unfold. As the FAA DC had communicated everything to the local regional offices, and then they communicated to the airports. In my experience, I've never seen the FAA work so hard and so quickly to get funds out to airports, especially almost every airport in the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems received some level of funding here. It was a pretty phenomenal effort on the FAA's part.
Oh,
Great. Okay, is there any public comment? Well, I guess we don't need to take any. We're not voting, so we're gonna wrap this up, I guess. Is there any further questions or comments at this point? We appreciate you stopping by, Mr. Laverty, and we look forward to the upcoming agenda item at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. So next we have kind of a little teaser here. Usually we do minutes at the end of but we got a few more items after that, but we can knock these minutes out right now.
okay. Clearly, I'm excited to get this part done. Council, I move to approve the summary minutes for the April 14th, 2020 regular session and the April 28th, 2020 work session as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Is there any public comment on the minutes? We'll do a roll call vote.
On the motion to approve the April 14th, 2020 regular session and April 28th, 2020 work session summary minutes as presented, Councilor McKim,
Yes.
Councilor Spoonmore,
Yes.
Councilor Munson,
Yes.
Councilor Hawk,
Yes.
Councilor Iverson,
Yes.
Councilor Deckard,
Yes.
Councilor Wills.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
And I've got to say, that's some of the faster turnaround time I've seen on minutes in a long time. And they're doing a great job there in the office on keeping up with all of that. So thanks so much.
Yeah, Margaret, this is Kim speaking, and I just want to say that Margaret, when she first came back, she got a bunch of them done. So there'll be some more coming your way.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we are going to move on to a discussion of budget preparation. As we all know, this is, in my view, the most important responsibility we have is formulating the budget each year. So we are about to start in earnest on that process. The budget letter from me, kind of giving guidance and to our departments for their budgets went out, I think that was about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. So all of that information has now been communicated to our various departments and offices. And I just wanted to have our budget director, Michelle, give us kind of an update on where things stand, what we can expect over the next few weeks, what items are remaining to get in before we can really start diving into everything. And also give council an opportunity for questions or comments as we get prepared for our budget deliberations going forward.
Good evening, Council. Kim Shell. I wanted to let you know that we got the Form 144, which is the form that departments use to, request the salaries for the following, the 2021 year. We got those out. The 33A form is out, which is the estimated revenues that needs to be filled out for departments. And we also got an MCA1, and that is the form that if you, as a department, are looking at your budget and you foresee that you're going to be needing an additional appropriation between July 1 in December, we need to know that information so that we can get that plugged into the budget. So that becomes part of our budget process. So we've got those out. I've got the Form 144 is due to the council office tomorrow. And I'll be reaching out to departments if they haven't got them in, but I've got a lot of them in recently. And the 33As and the MCA 1, the due date for those is the 15th, July the 15th. So Megan and I have been working on getting the budget workbooks prepared for everyone as the 144 information has been coming in. And we hope to get those out on the 29th, but don't hold your breath. So we're just a wee bit behind on that because of the lateness of the getting out the 144s. But my hope is to get everything out that first week of July. So, and I just ask for the departments to be patient, and we will get those out to you. So that's all I've got right at the moment with regards to where we're at in the budget process. So.
Okay. And everybody, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you should have received an email with a revenue report from Bree Gregory, the financial director, and she wasn't prepared to be able to speak tonight, but she just wanted to make sure that you guys got the information, what your thoughts on it are, and she hopes to be ready to meet with you at the next work session meeting. So if you have any comments, just let me know via email, or you can email Bree regarding any questions regarding the revenue report.
Yeah. Very good. And that was the revenue report was very thorough. I thought it was great. But if there's any questions or feedback, be sure to let Bree know. But I'm looking forward to receiving those monthly now. That's great. Thank you so much for putting those together. Are there any questions that council members? Yeah, Ms. Hawk.
Yes, as the 33As come in, that's that estimated revenue from the different departments. Could you share those with us as soon as you get them? Just you get them in and just send them out so that we can look at them and see if there's any questions we might have or other thoughts that we could be talking to the different departments about that. And I'm not saying just for the liaisons, I'm saying everybody. For instance, I listened to the Ellisville Town Council's meeting just yesterday, and they're going forward with doing their own inspections rather than having the county doing that on their building inspections. So that'll be some change in the revenue. I don't know just how much of a change that'll be. I do know that we have had a building boom over here in Richland Township. How much of that was actually in Ellisville or what's out in the county. But that's just a small thing, but we need to be looking at all those things. So we could just look at it as it's coming in.
Sure, that won't be a problem. I can create a folder in Dropbox within the budget, and I can just start putting them in there.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions, Mr. McKim?
I just want to remind everybody that the income tax information is going to be coming in later this year than it has in recent years. So right now, I think we're supposed to get the estimate on September 15th and then the certification on October 15th right now. Both of those dates are extended because of the pandemic.
But not a great deal different than what it used to be. I mean,
it is like it used to be. No, right. They had really, yeah, it's unfortunate though, because they had really modified the process where we actually got it in enough time to be really useful. So, yeah.
I know one of the questions we're always kind of grappling with in the budget process along the way is health insurance. and how those estimates are looking. Do we have an idea of when that might be better known?
I know that Miss Purdy was reaching out to that particular vendor that had helped her before at the beginning of June to begin that process. So I'm hoping that we will know something, middle of July maybe, with regards to what they believe the estimate will be.
Okay.
I am curious if our claims, and I don't know if anybody here on this call has that answer, but if our claims have been dramatically down because so many doctors' offices and
closed
haven't been doing procedures. So I'm just wondering if claims for this year are going to be markedly less than expected.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I'll reach out to Elizabeth and see what in HR and see what if she can come up with something for you.
I noticed a lot of the, my auto insurance, I got a personal rebate a few times over the last couple of months because there was less usage of the vehicles, and so they gave some money back to people. It wasn't a huge amount, but I didn't see that same thing with insurance premiums for health insurance, even though we know a lot of everyone's paying the same amount in, and we know there's far fewer elective operations that were happening throughout that time. So it'd be interesting to know if there is going to be any cost savings as a result of that. Ms. Shell, go ahead, and then Ms. Hawk.
Okay, I was going to say, I just got a text message from Miss Purdy, and she said that she's meeting with them on Thursday.
Okay,
so
great.
We should have some numbers, I will hope, soon. And they're just the preliminary numbers, that kind of thing. We haven't nailed anything down, so this will just be like the beginning stuff.
Okay. Councilmember Hawk, did you have a?
I was just going to say, depending how all this works out, because of course, who knows, but I would think there would be a great deal of reversions coming back. I mean, because there's not been, the travel hasn't been allowed, the gas mileage has not been allowed, and so forth. So that kind of spending, I would think, would be down, as well as our utility bills should not be as high for the county. Now, those for the individuals all working from home, your utility bills went up, including your toilet paper allowance. But those small things, it may look small, but our utility bills for the county can be really high. So without all of the buildings being used as often, doors opening and shutting, it should be somewhat less, should be some savings there.
Yeah, Mr. Deckard.
Thank you very much. And I feel like the conversation's kind of gone this way. And so I just wanted to add something to this. Out and about in the county in the limited way that I am, I'm noticing that individual mask behavior has started to uptick again, which is a good thing. And I think that's what the health department was in here talking about earlier. And I think people are rightfully and knowingly watching the news, and they're responding to the things that they see where there's been upticks in certain areas, and they're very curious about that, concerned, and very scared. And I just want to reiterate that I think we're very much still in the we don't know what we don't know that we began in mid-March as this all began. This is a new territory land like we've never seen, and who knows how that all will affect us, but this is the strangest long months that we've had. And it was for me, as difficult as this is for everyone, it's heartwarming to see people respond. That will likely continue to change as things change, hopefully for the better. But again, we have to be extremely vigilant out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Iverson?
Yeah, Kim, I got a question for you. Jeff and now Trent has talked about kind of the uncertainty that still is out there. And I know one of the things that the Department of Local Government Finance, DLGF, does is they do a budget workshop with us, with all the counties. And so number one, I assume that's not been scheduled yet.
No, it is not. We have put in our request. We have not heard back from them yet as to what day we'll be doing that.
But I imagine there's still going to be a lot of uncertainty even when that happens, even with, just things are still up in the air quite a bit.
As far as I know, we're going to be doing that virtually. That's the way that they scheduled it. And we have not heard back from our DLGF rep. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I just wanted us to have a quick update on kind of where things stood with budget preparation. So if there's any further questions or that come up, always submit those to Ms. Shell, to the council office, and we'll get answers to all of those. But looking forward to working with you all on another successful budget season. It's going to be a little bit more challenging this year, I think, for obvious reasons, but we'll do the best we can, and I have a feeling everything's going to work out just fine for us. So stay optimistic. We'll close that discussion out and move on to our next budget-related item here, our public safety local income tax update. And Ms. Munson has some information that she would like to share with us.
I'm sorry, I hope you can hear me. I think this will be a short report because we are just getting going on this. The Public Safety Lit Committee for the whole county is comprised of 4 representatives from the City Council, Isabel Piedmont Smith, Jim Sims, Sue Scambaluri, and Ron Smith, Scott Oldham from the Ellettsville Towns Council. Steinsville has a representative attend meetings, but they do not have a voting share. And 2 members from the Monroe County Council, Councilor McKim and myself. At our meeting earlier this summer, the committee voted to have the county council review applications from county fire departments and make recommendations to the committee as regards any funding. And this was an important step for us last year, and it's going to be an important step this year as well. But this year we are constrained by not having information before we make our recommendations about the amount of public safety income tax revenue that's available for the committee to allocate. Mr. McKim said this information will come in September 15th. Is that right?
Estimate, yes. Estimates.
Yes, the estimates. And we've always had to work on those estimates. And in the past, the estimates have been very close. But there are multiple slices through the public safety lit revenue. And the very first one is for the public safety answering point, our center dispatch. And their budget was approved by their policy committee a couple weeks ago. And that will be coming to the Public Safety Lit Committee. It will also be presented to the county council as part of our budget process. So the first cut goes to the dispatch center. Secondly, the committee is required by statute to consider requests for funding from qualified fire departments serving portions of the county that are not covered by cities and towns. And in the past, they've received varying amounts of funding year to year. Last year, the funding for those fire departments in total was $389,000. So after subtracting the dispatch budget and any funding that is actually allocated to fire departments, then the remaining amount of the public safety revenue is divided among the county, the city, and the town of Bellettsville and the town of Steinsville, according to their certified share percentage. And so it'll be a while before we know what amount of money is available to the county for our budgeting process. And this is very important. We haven't decided yet on what our schedule work is going to be, but one part of the schedule is set up, and that is the applications are must be from the fire departments must be submitted by June 30th. That's according to statute. The county council appointed a committee to review those applications, a subcommittee, and that is Councilor McKim, Councilor Spoonmore, and myself. And we will do, as we did last year, review the applications and make recommendations to the full council. So you will be able to see the applications and also be able to talk with us about our recommendations. The Public Safety Lit Committee will then consider the county council's recommendations regarding funding. And I'm very pleased that they did this because I think the county council members know much more about the fire departments that serves the county than do other members of the Public Safety Lit Committee. The important point this year is that the committee is emphasizing funding requests only for urgent needs that cannot be financed from other sources. And actually that was the case in the past as well, but it's very explicit this year. So we will have decisions coming to the full council. I don't have a schedule for that yet, but we sure hope to get this done before we get into our budget work. So, Councilor McKim or Spoonmore, do you have any comments that you would like to add?
Only that city staff definitely put a lot of, I would say, pressure on city council members to not give up a penny of lit for the township fire departments.
Thank you. I think that needed to be public.
Just preliminarily here, I'll say that I do think it's important that we support our township fire departments, and we'll be advocating for that. Ms. Hawk, did you have any?
Yes. Because of that, and because of course I watched that when I heard, okay, nothing for anyone other than the city. I mean, but you know what? I was expecting that. I mean, that's their position. But so the bottom line is, we could have all of these other committee meetings and everybody else agree, but the bottom line is the final vote will really be the city council. Is that correct? I think we all agree that even if that public safety lit committee would say they agree with what the county special committee put together, and the county would agree to that, and we take it back to that public safety lit committee, and even if the majority would say yes, we agree to it, the bottom line, it still has to go back to the city council for their vote, correct? So my question then is, scheduling wise, do we know when that might be? Some kind of idea.
I think with the state's change in revenue reports, everything is kicked down the road, and we're going to be challenged in scheduling various decisions.
And so it really, until the city reviews what the separate public safety lit committee decides, until the city council looks at that and makes the decision, we really won't know. And the fire departments won't know whether or not they're receiving anything, and the county won't know exactly what their revenue is going to be either. Is that correct? Is that as you understand?
I'd like to clarify one point. The Public Safety Lit Committee will make allocation recommendations.
But it's not
for, of course, for dispatch, for fire departments perhaps, and certified share calculations for the county and city and Ellettsville and Steinsville. And they will, I think the city council will want to see that revenue come in from certified shares. That's a substantial amount of money.
Right.
So I think I don't think the vote of the full city council or the full county council when it comes to that is as important as what the Public Safety Lit Committee decides to do.
Well, I think they really rely on them. They've established this committee so that they didn't have to do it. The whole city council didn't have to do the work. But the bottom line is, it really is going to take have the whole thing pass at the city council level, even if it passes the special lit committee, because that's not established by the state. So, okay, here we go.
I saw Mr. McKim's hand first, and I'm sorry, Ms. Munson, did you have something? Okay. Mr. McKim first, and then Mr. Deckard.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to, I think the upshot of all of this, the message is that the bar is going to be higher for fire departments to request money. We did, as Councilor Munson and everybody's talked about, we did simplify the process so that they don't have to, the grant request won't be as onerous. Given that there's been nothing allocated in advance, and we just know that the bar is going to be higher, and it's going to have to be things that are really essential.
So, I'll just close with one other.
Can I add something? Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk on this one.
No, go ahead.
I was more involved with this last year, and obviously have not been this year. But as an at-large rep, the point that I would make is. And I made this last year, the conversations that provide hierarchy to the needs, particularly with emergency needs, planning, responses among county residents, and place certain folks by where they live over others, is exactly the kind of problem that has slapped this community in the face over and over. And so I know our folks are pushing back on that, doing everything they can. I also know that there's constraints of money, but this is precisely the kind of thing that has derailed the public cooperation and discussion that we've had over the years, whether that form be annexation or whether that form be who gets what and how we ask them to get it. I appreciate we've simplified that application for them. But again, this just feeds into a narrative that I think has frustrated a lot of folks over the years with this. And I really appreciate the pushback on that narrative that we're making classes of citizens in a county like this where based on where you live. Some realities like broadband access, access to schools, distance, et cetera, is already hard enough without that. And these firefighters and other folks are doing the best they can, responding as well as they can. So I wanted to get that in. Thank you.
So I'd like to wrap this up by letting people know that everybody in the county, including the residents of the townships outside city limits, pay income tax. And I hope that they get some benefit for their public safety from this income tax geared towards public safety. So of course they get they're represented with funding that we give to the Sheriff's Department. They are certainly with, there's been public safety funding for the courts in a few cases and for probation. But the fire departments are a big part of public safety, and especially in the rural areas, the fire departments are the first on the scene for medical emergencies.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments on the public safety local income tax update? Okay, we'll stay tuned for more on that in the coming weeks and months. Now we'll move on to a discussion about our job description comparison project. And I know Ms. Shell has been working hard on this along with Council Attorney Rice. And so, and then maybe Mr. Deckard is our new PAC president, and he may also want to weigh in as well too, but I'll turn it over to staff now to give us an update.
Hi, it's me again. And I wanted to let you know that in the last couple of weeks, I've met with 9 departments so far with regards to the job description comparisons. And 4 of those departments were departments that were in limbo with regards to the moratorium. Either they had just made requests to PAC, or their requests were already submitted to WIS and WIS is holding them. So I've met with them, and I've met with some others. We've tweaked a few job descriptions that needed to be done because of some shifting in duties and that kind of thing. And Elizabeth Sensenstein, the HR specialist, she has been working with me as well with these meetings, and she's been going over the org charts with them, and we've been tweaking some org charts as well, where they were not matching currently what was going on because they were pretty aged as well. So we've been updating those and getting that out. And let's see, I want to say that the majority of them that I've been meeting with has had like maybe just a clarification on a duty that was there, but nothing really major. The 5 departments that I've also met with, you know, the others, there wasn't any changes. You know, things were just fine. They were happy with what's there. So, but the big, you know, concern and the issue has always been salary. You know, so you know they're wanting to see an increase in the salary, and so you know that's really what they're wanting to come forth. You know, if you know with adding duties, you know, will that increase, you know, the classification, you know, that kind of thing to get their people more money. But as I'm looking at this and doing budgets and that kind of thing, I hope to have a majority of these done at least by the August PAC meeting. And I can give a better report to the PAC members and then be able to come to council as well with that. So that's where I'm at right now. So.
Well, it's been a lot of work, a big endeavor dealing with all of this stuff. So thanks for the update. Are there any, well, let me check with Ms. Rice as well. Was there anything on your end of things?
Yes, and hold on, I'm gonna get rid of my barking dog, I hope. Yes, I have an update. I would like to let you know that after the PAC meeting, which was on
June 11th. We did reach out to Wagner Irwin Sheely, and there were several job descriptions that we were supposed to send up to them. So Kim has sent that information to them, and we are waiting to hear from them on a date when they would be able to talk with us about that. So they're hoping sometime in July. I sound like I live in a zoo. I apologize. The other thing that has come up from departments as Kim has been meeting with them is that they are concerned that in this process, if a job classification were to be reviewed by WIC and it was found that it should be a lower classification than it currently is, they're worried that the council might lower that classification, which would result in a lower salary for the employees. Now, we've told the departments that that has never been the council's practice, and that they've always grandfathered those positions. And then if that person were to leave, then they can make the adjustment then. I'd like to bring that up with you guys tonight to make sure that that's still the council's position. If it isn't, we should talk about that and let the departments know. But if that is still the council's position, that your policy will be, if some change occurs, or if our consultants would recommend a lower classification, that you would essentially freeze it as it is and not lower it while that person is in the job. So if we can talk about it a little bit, if anybody has an objection to that, or they think that we should in fact lower classification while there's somebody in the job, that would be good to know so that we could talk through that. Otherwise, if you still like the position you've always had, we will make sure that we share that with the department so they have some confidence as we go forward that nobody's going to end up getting sort of demoted during this process.
Mr. McKim?
Yeah, so that's exactly the topic that I wanted to talk about. And, in the past, and there may be multiple, even more distant pasts, which Councillor Hawk may want to reflect on, but at least in the past, as long as I've been involved, what we've done actually is that we have made that employee a high outlier, which means that their salary stays the same, but they don't get any raises until essentially what their salary should be catches up with what it actually is. That is different from grandfathering a classification. So those are two different things, and I'd like to hear what others say, but I do believe our practice in the past has been to freeze their salary as a high outlier if a reclassification results in a lower classification than they currently have. So they'd be held harmless against a reduction in salary, and I think we all agree that a reduction in salary would be a terrible thing to do to an employee, and none of us have any interest in doing that. But we have handled them as high outliers in the past.
Councilmember Hawk.
Yes, I wanted to make sure that we wouldn't say that we aren't going to reduce the classification if that classification was supposed to be reduced. That's not the same thing as reducing their salary. We would freeze their salary where they are. I mean, I'm not saying this is what everybody wants to agree to, but in the past, we would freeze their salary where they were. They would not get cost of living raises or any other step increase raises or whatever until that salary then from where that proposed salary would meet with wherever their salary actually is. If I'm probably not explaining this exactly right.
No, it makes sense.
But you go ahead and change that classification so that doesn't get mixed up with your whole classification system. I mean, if that's what WIS comes back to say.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And when we had WIS initially do a big revision of the classification system, there were a lot of those high outliers, and it took us a long time to kind of move them through the system, I remember, and we finally did.
And I think that happened shortly after I started here, which was in 2015. we
It was
finally,
probably the very end of it. Yeah.
yeah, it was at the very end.
Okay, Mr. Deckard first, and then we'll go back to Councilmember Hawk.
I appreciate very much the comments here. I think that if you're, certainly the sentimentality that I have towards this is, if you want equitable classification systems that truly work department to department, you want to make sure that you're not penalizing folks as that information comes back that helps them get to that. And I think that whatever mistake that has brought a salary to be affected by a classification that has been incorrect, you don't want that accuracy of getting that right to penalize. And so I like a very responsible process of freezing that salary until circumstances catch up with where that needs to be. I think the opposite of that encourages classifications that can get out of whack. And truly, it is hard to have a discussion on classification when a classification doesn't pay the bills, the salary does. And so we have to, we always have to recognize that ultimately when an employee goes home and their county service, they have to think about those things first, and then classification is a thing that is affected by that. So getting that equitable, responsible, I think it encourages to get the system right without penalty.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hawk, did you have a comment?
Yes, I wanted to make sure that we don't just concentrate on those positions that might be high outliers, because what we really have to also be looking at are the ones that might come back and we have some low outliers.
Right.
And we need to be concentrating on making certain that we, to the every extent we can, even if we have to bump it up a little every year, we need to get those up to the amount where they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Now that we may not be able to do it all in 1 year. When we first started the classification system, it took us a few years before we could get all of the ones in the low outliers, and we had a group of them and we moved them up as we could until we could get into the right position. So those will be the challenges that we'll have.
Ms. Rice, do you think, based on your discussion that you had with department heads and the concerns that they had communicated, do you feel like this consensus here and this discussion would alleviate those concerns?
I want to ask Kim Schell, she was in the department head meeting, and I know Angie Purdy was also in that department head meeting. I think that this is great to have this in the minutes because it does clarify the council's intent, and we can assure people that they would not see, a decrease in their salary, which I think is what people are really concerned about.
Yeah.
If Kim or Angie, if you guys disagree with that and you think that there's still something concerning, by all means, let us know. But I think this is helpful. And this is, again, boards and commissions speak through their minutes. So the fact that this is your intent and this is the minutes will help us, when we move forward. If we have questions, we can look back and see what we talked about tonight. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there a bullfrog out there?
There is. You know what? I live in the woods, and there is a frog in my courtyard. I have a little fountain that's sort of built in, and there's a frog. And he does this every single, maybe it's a she. Does it every single night.
Like kind of a menagerie over there. I like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
We should all take ours off of mute and let our animals have at it.
I love it. Ms. Wilkes. So
I've been listening because this is definitely a little bit of a learning curve for me. And I think it makes a lot of sense the way you're talking about it. I guess my question / concern is that we wouldn't be allowing even cost of living increases for folks if they were considered what you're calling a high outlier. They wouldn't get anything. Is that really the idea?
They would not get anything.
That has been the practice in the past. That does not mean that we have to carry that further. In the past, though, the practice has been that your salary is frozen until what it should be catches up with what it actually is, so that no one's salary ever goes down. But that doesn't mean that, for example, so far we haven't decided on giving any cost of living increase this year. But if we give one, we can certainly decide who gets it, and we can certainly not follow the same practice that we've.
So this would would kind of be like the most severe scenario, but we always have the discretion to modify beyond that if we want. But it could never get any more negative.
And it's not going to be a written policy. It's just practice. Is that correct?
Okay.
That I think Margie would need to answer that.
Okay.
It should be.
Go ahead, Marty.
I want to throw something in here first, if I might.
Yeah, please.
Okay. First of all, we need to be thinking about the ones who are not being paid as up to their classification before we start thinking about let's giving raises, even cost of living raises, to someone who's getting paid more than what their classification. Now remember, they're not locked into that job. They can look around in Monroe County government and get another job and make more money if they wish to. But to not be able to raise up the people who are not even at their classification, and say, no, we don't have the money to do that, but we'll give a raise of any sort to somebody who's already more than their classification, seems to me patently unfair. But, I'm only one vote.
Michelle?
Like I said earlier, was I came in on the tail end of getting rid of outliers. And I think I recall we did not, well, as Lori and I were budgeting for this, they were not included in any COLA raises because they were froze at that amount because they were above that classification amount. So if you gave that COLA amount, they would never reach the classification because you're still growing them. So it was frozen in order to be able to so that they would catch up to, or the classification would catch up to where they were at.
Mr. McKim.
Yeah, so you remember we added those the 2 additional step increases only relatively recently. So before that, missing the COLAs was the only way that you would ever catch up. Otherwise, the person would remain a high outlier in perpetuity, because there has to be some way in which their salary increases less than the whole system increases. Otherwise, they'll never. The system will never catch up.
Yes, the 8 and the 14-year steps does allow for that certain employees to catch up to the levels.
Councilmember Munson and Iverson.
Yes, I remember the end of the getting rid of the outliers in terms of salary, but they were very much inliers in terms of county government. We had no COLA as is my memory, but I don't recall what we did with longevity. And
they still got longevity.
Still got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to be out there and discussed. So there will be increases for longevity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did not, suffer any consequence with regards to their years of service or their longevity. It was just where their salary was frozen until they reached the level.
Because longevity is not tied to your salary; it's tied to the number of years.
Correct. Right. It's connected to your years of service and not to your salary.
Okay, Mr. Iverson.
Yeah, I wanted to make 2 points. First, I wanted to add my voice to the chorus here, not the frog chorus, but the chorus of members that I think it's really important not to penalize staff. I think unanimity here on the council on that point is really important. My second point is I wanted to laud Kim and Elizabeth on working on the org chart. As someone that doesn't have a lot of institutional memory, that's a great tool to kind of grasp the breadth and the depth of county government and be able to talk about that with others, people as almost like a civics tool. So I really appreciate the work that's going in on that. So thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. McKim, did you have another comment you wanted to make?
Actually, I wasn't going to say anything significantly different from what Peter just said.
Okay, cool. All right, well, yeah, I think that hopefully that will alleviate some of the concerns that departments feel. If we need to do anything more substantial than that, Margie, let me know and we can.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is, Margie, do we need to officially do something, or does this like a consensus kind of thing?
I think that this right now gives us the assurance we need to move forward, working with departments. As you're meeting with them, Kim, they had concern, and I think this should alleviate their concerns. I would think, though, as we get further along, once we know what we're doing with Wagner or Winshili, and if we want to formalize anything, we can do that at that point. But I think we've got what we need right now.
Okay.
Right. I certainly feel like I'm on record for it, and yeah, we'll just kind of play it by ear going forward. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that, because that has been one of the concerns that, with some of the departments. It's like, we don't want to change anything if somebody's going to suffer a loss in a classification, which will suffer a loss in salary. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's what the department head is paid to make sure it's right, not what.
Okay.
Not the way it's supposed to work.
Okay. So we are going to move on now to our final item, council comments. Do any council members have any updates or comments they'd like to share? I saw Mr. McKim's hand first, and then Ms. Wiltz.
Well, this isn't really a comment. It's just that I know at least one member of the public came today to this meeting to make public comment and was not aware that we don't typically take it at work sessions. And I know the distinction between work sessions and regular meetings is particularly blurred in the case of these Zoom meetings. So I'm going to move that we take public comment tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Mr. McKim's suggestion to take public comment. Is there any discussion among council members?
Okay, so what you need to do then is just move that there.
We'll have to do a roll call vote here. I guess, do we need to take public comment on the motion to take public comment?
Well, you're amending the agenda, so we need a vote from everyone to amend the agenda.
Yeah, so that's, I think essentially that's what the
yes,
the motion is.
Councilor Spoonmore,
Yes.
Councilor Iverson,
Yes.
Councilor Wiltz,
Yes.
Councilor McKim,
yes,
Councilor Munson,
Yes.
Councilor Deckard,
Yes.
Councilor Hawk.
The motion's to amend the agenda, correct?
Correct.
to add
Public comment.
Get it done and over with. 7:30.
Was that yes or no? Okay. So the motion passes, and we'll allow public comment.
Okay.
And looks like Mr. Paul would like to speak. Welcome, Mr. Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Councilor McKim, for making that suggestion. I hope you guys appreciate the comment once I get done with it. I wanted to talk to you about something that came up about a month ago with the ADA and courthouse work that was done, and a suggestion was made that I work with the legal office and see what we could work out. We did that, and the agreement was that probably to do a better job, we should simply just allow me to join the accessibility committee. We would look at the transition plan that's required to be submitted to the state and just do a better overall view versus just an isolated view of the courthouse. I did that. I asked for a copy of the ADA transition plan. I was sent one, but on the front cover of it it clearly said draft. And I reviewed the plan and put hours into it basically because there were some serious problems with the surveys being done, but I thought that I would simply bring it to the meeting and we would work on that. The meeting was widely circulated. It was on the 18th of last week. And when I got the packet, in the packet was a copy of the resolution that the county commissioners had actually passed the plan on December 18th of last year. So I was being asked and put hours into a plan that had already been passed, and it was submitted to the state 2 days later. And the plan has some serious flaws in it, and they could be corrected, but now it's already at the state. And now they're viewing us as being ADA compliant when we are hardly even close. What makes matters worse is after the meeting, the city, the CCA, the Council for Community Accessibility, which does a great job, said, well, we'll help you. We'll do the inspections for you. Sounds great. And I appreciate, I don't in any way question how well-intentioned the city is. But they, by their own admission, don't do a full ADA inspection. They would simply go to county buildings and point out the worst offenses. And the only influence they have on the county is that they would give them a report. If the county doesn't act on it, they're sending a letter that says you've got 20 days to do it. If they don't do it in 20 days, then they told me it's up to the public to sue or file a complaint. Guys, we've got a serious problem. This is even worse than not complying. This now has a flawed report that was sent up to the state, is now on file, and I'm reaching out to the council where I don't have a lot of choices. I'm seriously not going to let that pass. I'm reaching out to the council to see if anybody on the council will work with me to try to put together maybe a subcommittee. I would like to have Tree Martin involved. She's one official in the county that's shown to be an honest broker, and I trust her. But we can't let this pass. We've got to do something about it. This is far worse than anything I've ever seen. And just as a footnote, that transition plan was due to be filed to the state on January 26, 1993. It's 27 years late. So not only is it 27 years late, it's flawed, it's not accurate, and we need to do something about it. And I appreciate you giving me the time. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Paul, for your comments. Okay, so now we will, is there any other members of the public who wish to provide comment? Items not on the agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to our council comment period. And do we have any council members who would like to provide comment at this time? Yes, all Ms. Wiltz, yes. And then Ms. Munson.
Yes, I have two comments. The first one is regarding the Environmental Commission. That commission is losing a valuable member. Dave Simcox is moving out of state, and his contributions on the commission have been really invaluable in his role as the commission secretary and pushing the commission's focus on safe drinking water and educating the members on a variety of sustainability and environmental issues. So I wanted to just take a moment to publicly thank him for his service and to wish him well in his new environment, which I'm sure will be all the better for his presence and his activism. And that said, there are openings on the Environmental Commission. So if anybody's interested, please go to the Monroe County website and look up boards and commissions and apply. The second update that I have is regarding the special session of the County Council that will be held next week on Tuesday, the 30th at 6 p.m. Till 7:30 p.m. So we've scheduled it for an hour and a half. and it's in direct response to public interest in our local law enforcement, as most of you know. And I think as the body responsible for budgeting across Monroe County's justice system, the council in general is excited to engage in this public listening and brainstorming session. I know I am. We will have an agenda publicly available by the end of this week. This is going to be a facilitated meeting, and it will include topical discussions that are going to be based on the public input and the questions that we have received in the past few weeks via email and other communications from the public. So that's my update on that event so far.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hawk. Yes.
Yes. This is a very special time of the year. We normally are preparing for our July 4th celebrations and all of the things that we work together as a community to celebrate. This year, there's going to be a group that will be meeting at AMVETS, it's an organized group coming in from AMVETS. It's going to be different than a regular 4th of July parade, but it will be vehicles of sorts that will be coming from there and going into Bloomington, and hopefully then we'll be stopping by there at our annual fish fry at the Elks, which will still take place. They're going to be start serving at, I believe they said at 11 o'clock. And so that's open to the public, and you can sit outside to eat if you want to bring your own chair and be able to keep enough social distancing if you feel like that's important, or you could go inside as well. That's all going to be set up so that it can be whatever is appropriate. And we just hope that you'll all come out and celebrate the July 4th at the Elks. It's a wonderful event, and they're a great group of people that support so many things. And I see Trent Deckard smiling because I expect he will be there. His family is very involved as well. So it should be a fun day, and it's not to be missed. There's no reason why we cannot still celebrate 4th of July. Yes, baby. My baby wants to talk.
Maybe saying it's this year, maybe Trent will get fish. I never get there in time to get the fish.
Councilmember Munson. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you, Mr. Deckard.
A comment about next Monday's meeting of the Sophia Travis Community Service Grants Committee, which will hear presentations by the not-for-profits who are applying for grants. And this will be on Zoom. The county will publicize this so that the public can know where to tune in for Zoom. And for everybody, this is a very good opportunity for you to see the wealth of good work that our nonprofits do in our community, and to learn about their needs. I will also add that this is something that the County Council will hope to wrap up before we get into budget season, and that is we have a vote scheduled for the end of July at our July work session. And the committee members from the council are Eric Spoonmore, Kate Wiltz, and myself. From the public, Ryan and Rachel Guglielmo. So we always have a hard job reviewing and making recommendations to the county council. Sorry.
Great.
Sorry.
I think we got most of it. We got it all. Okay. Are there any other Mr. Decker, did you have something?
Just really quickly, the Monroe County Women's Commission will meet again this Thursday, the 25th. This is the first meeting back first meeting since March. County operations slowed down significantly. It'll be exciting to get back with them. Obviously, some of the significant work they do, like Girls Coding Week, has been offset with all the cancellation of events, but this is a strong commission. And so you can tune in, check it out, and I'm sure there'll be a valiant effort on other new things despite the pandemic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. I think we're gonna adjourn the meeting now. Thank you all. Have a good night.